They say the courtroom is a place of justice. But in Zimbabwe, it's increasingly becoming a theater of the absurd. In today's episode, we break down the bizarre trial of journalist Blessed Mhlanga, where counter-terrorism officers are now investigating journalists as if they were armed insurgents. To illustrate just how ridiculous this case is, we have reenacted a portion of the court proceedings so you can hear for yourself. And this reenaction is courtesy of Fadzai Mahere, who posted it on Twitter. And so we are going to use that for reenacting what happened.
Why are you treating my client's case as terrorism?
I am not treating it as terrorism.
Then why are you involved in a journalism case?
These are just administrative assignments.
Do you believe my client is a terrorist?
I can't answer that question.
Why not? It's a simple yes or no.
Belief has nothing to do with facts.
Is my client a terrorist, as a matter of fact?
I don't know if he is a terrorist.
Why deploy a counter-terrorism expert on a harmless journalist?
There's nothing wrong with it.
How long have you served?
26 years.
Do you realize this is an allegation against journalism? What is his crime?
He transmitted data.
What vehicle was used to transmit the data?
YouTube.
Does my client own YouTube?
I don't think so.
What is the name used on YouTube for transmission of data?
HSTV.
Is my client's name HSTV?
I may not know his full names.
So why is Blessed being arrested for the HSTV case and activities?
HSTV is not a natural person, but rather natural persons acting on its behalf.
Yes, you heard that right. A journalist is being treated like a national security threat for simply transmitting data on YouTube. And the officer, after 26 years in service, can't even explain why he is involved in the case. This is not law enforcement. It's lawfare, weaponized against the press. But what does this mean for digital media in Zimbabwe and the world in general? The government is sending a clear message. If they can't control what you say, they will find ways to punish you for saying it. That's why we have put together a virtual podcast to unpack the implications of this trial on press freedom and online journalism. Here we go.
Freedom of the press in the digital age. It sounds like a fundamental right, but what happens when a YouTube journalist gets investigated by counterterrorism experts for simply transmitting data? This case I discovered today completely changes how we need to think about journalism and national security.
That's quite an opening statement. What exactly makes this case so significant?
Well, imagine this. You have a counterterrorism expert with 26 years of experience being questioned about why they're investigating a YouTube channel. The fascinating part is how they keep avoiding basic questions about their involvement, hiding behind phrases like, "These are just administrative assignments."
So they're using counterterrorism resources to investigate content creation? That seems like quite a stretch.
You know what's really interesting? The case revolves around someone named Blessed and a YouTube channel called HSTV. When pressed about whether they believed the client was a terrorist, the expert kept saying, belief has nothing to do with facts, yet couldn't provide any actual facts to justify their involvement.
That kind of circular logic must have some serious implications for digital journalists worldwide. How many content creators could potentially fall under this kind of scrutiny?
Well, that's exactly the concerning part. The expert admitted they didn't even know the client's full name, yet they're pursuing this case based on, get this, transmitting data through YouTube. It's like saying someone's suspicious for using email.
Oh, wow. So they're essentially criminalizing the basic function of digital platforms. What was the defense's strategy in handling these vague accusations?
The lawyer was brilliant, systematically exposing the absurdity through simple yes-no questions. They pointed out that their client doesn't own YouTube, and when pressed about HSTV, the expert tried to justify it by saying, HSTV is not a natural person, but rather natural persons acting on its behalf.
That's exactly the kind of bureaucratic doublespeak that can be so dangerous in these cases.
Right. And here's where it gets even more concerning. This case could set a precedent for how authorities handle digital journalism globally. Think about it. If posting content on YouTube can trigger a counterterrorism investigation, what does that mean for press freedom?
Well, looking at the bigger picture, how does this compare to similar cases in other countries?
You know, that's such a crucial question. We're seeing various approaches worldwide, but this case stands out because it's trying to apply pre-internet security frameworks to modern digital journalism. It's like trying to use a 1950s rulebook for a 2023 game.
So, what should content creators and journalists be watching for going forward?
The key indicators will be how authorities distinguish between legitimate journalism and what they consider security threats. This case shows they're struggling with that distinction, especially when it comes to platforms like YouTube that blur the lines between traditional and citizen journalism.
Mm-hmm. And I imagine this affects international reporting too.
Absolutely right. Consider how this impacts cross-border journalism. When content can be accessed globally, but is subject to local security interpretations, it creates this complex web of legal and security considerations that journalists have to navigate.
That really puts things in perspective for the future of digital journalism.
And here's what I think is the most crucial takeaway. We're at this critical juncture where we need to decide how to balance security concerns with press freedom in the digital age. This case isn't just about one YouTube channel. It's about establishing the principles that will guide digital journalism for years to come.
Looking ahead, what should we be watching for as these issues continue to develop?
Well, I'd say watch for three key things. First, how courts begin to interpret transmission of data in journalism cases. Second, how different countries develop frameworks for digital journalism. And third, perhaps most importantly, how this affects the willingness of journalists to tackle controversial topics online.
Those are some sobering considerations for anyone in digital media.
You know what makes this so fascinating? It's not just about journalism anymore. It's about how we define freedom of expression in an age where anyone with a smartphone can be a content creator. The outcome of this case could affect everyone from professional journalists to casual bloggers.
This is the new battleground. If speaking the truth on YouTube is now a crime, then every journalist is a suspect. But we refuse to be silenced. Subscribe to Zimwaves TV, where we expose the truth no matter how hard they try to bury it.
Vamono timbinga mazuwa no shwaivezo gananda kanguva yono kutotimbinga savano shanda izo dziri mbavha dzinobiranika mbinga dzouraya vana veZimbabwe nenzara inokonzerwa nehowe tombogara mukauone shwaitwa nyika naMhlanga akatenderedzwa nezvigananda achifuratira masi enyika wikinero haizimbinga chigananda bvunzai generari vachakudzai haizimbinga mumwe weaya makoronyera mbinga dzouraya vana veZimbabwe nenzara inokonzerwa nehowe tombogara mukauone shwaitwa nyika naMhlanga akatenderedzwa nezvigananda achifuratira masi enyika mbinga dzacho dzokatozara muhomwe yemukuru kuru wenyika ino mbinga dzacho dziri kuhonda dzirimo mukati mezano mbinga